Wake up early
and drink some tea.
Welcome to another episode of the Early and Tia Show, your morning news source for all trending news. Man, listen, we got another hot one for you today. Look,
it's too hot.
Chicago has made the headlines as usual, and this time they have made national news again for what we are calling Chicago's teen trend. Break it down for them, Tia.
So essentially what's happening is these kids are posting on social media that they're going to meet up. They do. They meet up, and it's hundreds of kids. And so in some instances, they are, juking. Some instances, they're just twerking. But there's other instances where it turns violent. And they're stumping people's car windows out. They're beating people up. They're robbing people. Now, this is not the entire crowd, but it looks bad if it's just a few of them, no matter what. And gunshots have been fired, too.
Before we go, look, listen, let me show you guys a clip. I hate to show you, but I'm going to show you guys one of these horrible news clips so you guys can see what we're talking about. I'm pretty sure you've heard about it, but if not, take a look.
Hundreds of teens flooding into downtown Chicago tonight, smashing car windows, trying to get into Millennium Park, prompting a major police response. Within the past few minutes, shots were fired near the corner of Madison and Michigan. Now, we had a news crew on the scene, but they had to move because of safety concerns. I was there a little bit earlier, about an hour and a half ago, and saw police escorting tourists and visitors to their cars in the Millennium Park parking garage. The crowd was trying to get into Millennium Park, but there are checkpoints that are not allowing anyone under the age of 21 who's not with an adult to get in. So they're massing across the street on the other side of Michigan Avenue. I spoke to a woman whose car was smashed by people jumping on the windshield. She says the crowd began beating her husband as he sat in the driver's seat. He's now been sent to Northwestern Memorial Hospital. I also talked to a woman, a Chicago native, who was appalled by what she saw.
What I see out here is completely ludicrous, to be honest with you. I'm appalled at what I see. I'm from Chicago, and I understand kids having a good time, but it's simply bad parenting. We have to do better as parents. Our kids should not be out here. Where are their parents at? That's my question.
The situation continues to develop at this hour. As we mentioned, we have a reporter on the scene, but there are some security concerns. Fox 32's Nate Rogers is on Michigan Avenue in a protective position. Nate, can you tell us what you see right now?
Yeah, that's right, Dane. As you just mentioned, we're downtown on Michigan and Randolph. I'm actually probably a block away from a lot of where the chaos has originated. Right now, Chicago police are trying to clear Michigan Avenue, at least from Randolph until maybe 3 or 4 blocks south on Michigan. Very active scene indeed. Hundreds of officers working this investigation. There are reports, unconfirmed by Chicago police, of multiple people shot at Michigan and Washington, also Michigan and Wabash. The Chicago Fire Department, we're told, is here along with paramedics and Chicago SWAT teams, all assisting in this investigation. Now, the chaos here downtown began or erupted just before 8 p.m. Several hundred young people traveling in groups, kids seen jumping barricades into Millennium Park, also jumping on top of cars. Other reports indicated large groups trying to force their way into the Art Institute. This appears to be one of those teen takeovers that we saw last year, publicized widely on social media, attracting thousands into the downtown area as well as to Chicago area beaches. The teens are seen with their cell phones out, Bluetooth music speakers blasting, dancing while recording videos, hoping that they'll go viral. Now, I'm back out here live really just within the last 10 minutes or so ago. My photographer and I, Raphael, we heard at least 4 gunshots while we were standing at Michigan and Washington. We ran along with another TV news crew just to get to safety. Maybe 5 minutes after that, we heard even more gunshots. And so right now, Chicago police are trying to clear this area. If you can see from where I'm standing right now, gridlock traffic indeed. I mean, Chicago police here in great numbers, along with the Chicago Fire Department, paramedics. We understand that SWAT teams are here as well. A lot of folks are being rerouted to nearby public transportation just so they can get home. We also have seen police trying to escort tourists back into their hotels. Chicago police working right now to get a handle on all of this. We haven't received any updated information on if there have been any victims associated with any of this. That is the latest here in downtown Chicago. Nate Rogers, Fox 32 Chicago.
Nate, just to clarify, I want to ask you quickly, you're standing at the corner of Michigan and Randolph. Is Michigan Avenue shut down right now?
Yes, sir, at least from our vantage point, Dane. But keep in mind, Michigan and Randolph is probably 500 feet from where I am. I'm a little bit further into, closer back towards the lake, if you will. We really just had to get out of the way because the teens were running, officers were running. From our vantage point, you can't even, I don't even think there's traffic flowing along Michigan Avenue because the cars are stopped right now.
Yeah, it looks from that shot as though at least Michigan Avenue has been shut down.
I'm so embarrassed.
Why you embarrassed? Because you're black?
I'm embarrassed for a lot of reasons. I'm embarrassed because I'm black. I'm embarrassed because those kids look like me. I'm embarrassed because where are the parents?
Good question. That's the biggest question that people have been asking since last summer.
And that's a lot of kids. We're talking about thousands of kids.
Hundreds.
It looks like.
It ain't thousands. It's hundreds.
Well, it looks like 1,000 kids to me. Okay.
Yeah, because they're flocking. But yeah, it's hundreds. But it's still, to your point, is like, where are the parents? We keep hearing from city officials. We've heard from journalists. We haven't heard from no parents that are owning that their kids are doing this. Last year, though, I don't know if you remember this. Last year, you and I heard from a parent that said her daughter was down there and she had no idea her daughter was down there. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
And she said that she was upset and she made it where her daughter is not going to ever be out there again. So my thing is, if you do see your kids or know your kids are out there, what's the consequences?
Well, I think that's the issue. I think that
No
we
consequences.
live in an era where we as parents are focused on trying to be our kids' friends. We're focused on trying to give them everything that we didn't have as kids, putting ourselves in the hole financially and not instilling any type of discipline. And here's the issue. If you don't catch them when they're this age, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years old, well, guess what? You just lost. Because now when they're 11, 12 years, 13 years old.
They're not respecting you?
Well, they're not respecting you, and you have no respect. And so now when they're in your face telling you what you're going to do and they ready to fight you and they ready, well, what do you expect? And you can't think that if they don't respect you, they're not going to respect anybody else. They're not going to respect the police. They're not going to respect their teachers. And hence, this is the problem, and this is why we're here today.
I think you're giving the parents too much credit. And let me explain. Because I'm going to go as far, and I know people going to eat me up in the comments, but I don't care. I'm going to go as far as to say, I don't think they're trying to be their friend. I don't think they buying them the best things.
Yes,
I think in some instances, the kids that we're seeing, their parents are not in their lives the way they're supposed to be from the get-go. So I don't even think it's about being friends and buying them stuff. I think some of them are literally not being a parent at all. And in one case, I'll give you this quick example. We had a news crew out there, and one of the dads pulled up with his kids in a car. He asked the police, hey, is this okay for my kids to be here? They told me that, it was a party going on, and they told me it was safe, so I was going to drop them off. He literally was about to drop them off here and had no idea what was going on. The police said, no, this is not safe. So some of the parents are believing their kids, telling them the story that I can go down there and it's okay. Some of them are buying the story.
You can't ignore that we have a lot of parents who are close in age to their kids.
They are.
We have kids, quote unquote, having
Raising
kids.
kids.
So what I mean when I say that is that let me give you a story. I was on the phone with a customer one time, and I'm literally taking their information now. In the background, she's yelling, talking about, bruh, don't you see me on the phone, bro? Don't you see me on the phone? So I laugh, and I say, oh, okay, who is that, your brother? No, that's my son. You calling your son bro? And I literally was
Bad
like,
parenting.
okay, and you see that. You see parents talking about, what's up, bro, and sis, and these are your kids. So at the end of the day, it's like you don't want to discipline them. You don't want to yell at them. And don't get me wrong, I think a lot of this might come from us, the younger adolescent ages of trauma from our childhoods as far as getting whoopings. And some of the discipline was borderline, quote unquote, maybe abusive. You know what I mean? But I'm going to be honest with you. We wasn't running these streets, tearing up cars, setting cars. I wouldn't have dared. You could not have, man, please. My parents would have, no, it wouldn't have happened.
Well, the thing is, too, we're forgetting that a lot of these kids have freedom. And what I mean by that is because I had it. My mom was at work. She had other activities sometimes after work, and I would be home by myself for hours, several hours. The difference between me and these kids, and I'm sure some of them, that's their story, was that there was enough fear in me for me not to go in the streets. Like, my mom wouldn't have known. There were no cell phone. Like, I didn't have a cell phone back then. I had a pager. It would have been no way she would have known I was out the house. How would she know?
Well, I'll say this much too. To your point, I think that actually, and this goes into what do we feel like some solutions could be. I think taking electronic devices from these kids is a solution. But here's the only problem with that, because I said that
You can
before.
make it where they can just call out and receive calls. That's the
people
flip
were
side.
like, well, no, because we live in a world now where if it's an emergency or if I'm working, I need to be able to talk to them. And, you know, of course we had house phones. We didn't have cell phones back then. So it was a landline. It was a way of them communicating. And I guess I agree with that. So I guess the tricky part is.
You can get a phone that just calls out and receives calls and text messages only.
And
That exists.
And maybe no internet.
That exists.
Maybe no internet. Maybe they don't need to have internet. Maybe they don't need to have tablets. I mean, I think that social media is playing a huge role.
Social media is ruining a lot of lives.
Their lives. And unfortunately now, I think the word is what, dopamine? It's like you get
Dopamine.
Dopamine, whatever.
No,
okay.
dopamine.
Okay, this is the English teacher. Anyway, y'all know what I'm trying to say. Okay, the point I'm trying to make is that they have gotten to the point that where they want everything is about likes, going viral. And so now, unfortunately, how do you go viral? Well, you got to beat up this person. You got to fight this person. I mean, we went through the whole trend of where they were fighting the school bus drivers and fighting the CTA workers. It's like, well,
removing the toilets from the school.
Right, removing the toilets from the school. It's like you have seen so many trends, and you would think that it's crazy, which it is crazy, but like they're doing this for the likes and for the views. And a part of it is probably because they're not getting the attention at home.
Well, probably why they're not getting the attention at home is because they mamas and daddies trying to go viral. That's the part we're forgetting. Go on okay, when a kid gets in trouble, okay, and they put their name out in the news, go to the mama's page. Go to the mother's Facebook page, go to their Instagram page. They talking about sexual stuff on there. The mother is half dressed. It's the truth. Parents have some responsibility
I
to bear
agree.
here.
I think that that's part of it. And I think that the other part that you maybe might have hit on is that we have a lot of parents who are parenting their kids' and what I mean by that is they don't have a streamline of their own parents. So they're with aunties, uncles, grandmas. Now here's the problem with
Grandma don't even want to be called grandma no more. They glamma.
No. I ain't even talking about I'm not even talking about them grandmas. I'm talking about the real grandmas who are so old they can't even keep up with these kids. So you got a 13, 14-year-old grandma 70 years old, so she don't even know. She still don't know about these trends. She ain't hip to none of this.
Right.
Like what you were saying. Like
I get what you're saying.
They dropped them downtown. It was like, is this safe? Well, they don't even know because these kids are telling them whatever because they don't know.
And their parents aren't in their lives, so now they're leaving the responsibility for the grandparents to raise them. And grandparents ain't hip. All of them not 30 years old.
They're not 30. They don't know what's
Some
going on.
of them are, but not all of them are.
You got to remember, in their mind, their kids would tell them they're going to the movies, and they really were going to the movies. Their kids were saying, hey, I'm going to a friend's house to study, and they really were going to their friend's house to study.
Or if they weren't still in the Kia.
Still in the Kia, still in cars.
You know?
They wasn't breaking into cars. Right. They wasn't setting cars on fire.
Right.
And I think that's
throwing bottles at the police.
I think that's the missing link here is that, you know, we've got two different dynamics here. We've got kids who are raising kids, and then we've got the parents of the kids raising their kids. So
meaning the parents have pushed their responsibilities off onto the
now you got grandparents. You got grandparents raising teenagers. So now you're talking about a 70-year-old person.
Or older.
Or
they're caught up in the system and it's an adoptive household.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be real. I mean, when we talk about discipline and stuff like that, I mean, not to be funny, but what are the 70-year-old, 75-year-old going? Man, they already did their discipline. They already did it's like they ain't trying to. I mean, like even now, like my dad was very strict with me. But he not finna be strict with my kids. It's like it's a different person because they've lived that era. So you can't really get mad at them, and it's really not their fault.
What's the solution? We don't have one.
You tell us what the solution is. Comment in the comments below. We want to hear from you. What do you feel like the solution is? Or are we just doomed? I mean, is this era doomed? I mean, I want to know because, I mean, honestly and truly, it's like, how do you go back and discipline kids who have never had any discipline in their lives?
Well, sometimes the system has to be the best teacher. And that's the sad reality.
That's really what you don't want because that's why the jail systems and everything are already
what you think
overcrowded.
gonna happen? If you 17 and you out here doing crazy stuff, who you think gonna discipline you? The system.
What y'all think? Comment in the comments below. And also don't forget to like, share, and hit the notification tab so that you can tune in to the next trending news of Early.
And Tia.
Peace.